think entrepreneurship for me as well, much like marriage, is a mirror.
Yes.
And it truly shows you in a way that you can hide from and not see when you're working at an organization.
Absolutely.
Like, it really makes you stand to the challenge.
Yes.
And to really interrogate what you actually believe. On that note, I'm curious about your thoughts. You mentioned mindset. Like, what is the mindset that is required to first start a business, then grow a business, and then actually scale a business?
So you definitely have to have a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, definitely. And you have to strengthen your mind on a daily basis, because in the world that we live in, especially with social media, people will have you second guessing yourself. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. No, you're doing it the wrong way. No, you should do it the way everybody else is doing. And I know when my team hears this, they're going to laugh, because they always say, well, no, Dr. Phillips, Dr. Felicia, that's not how you do it. And I said, ask me if I care, because I know what works for me, because I take the time to study my craft. I may not work in an organization or a corporation. I still invest in me. I still study. I still go to conferences. I still get certifications to make sure I am on top of my game. And I pay attention to what people want from me. So mindset is very, very important, because you cannot be swayed. You have to be open to new ideas. Yes, I am a constant learner, but I know what works for my business.
Talk to us about that mindset, because one of the things that I remember from you pouring into me as a corporate leader when I was sitting in a space, a marketing role at Pfizer, at their headquarters, you came and did a talk about ensuring that as perhaps an individual contributor or an emerging leader, you don't shrink when the org is making shifts. Talk to us about the mindset that's required to show up in that moment.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing, and thank you so much for that question. You have to know that you know that you know that you have earned the right to be in that seat. So often, Brittany, I can't tell you how many times in the course of a week that I get the question about the imposter syndrome. And every time I get it, it's like, because, nobody gives you a role because you are a woman. Nobody gives you a role because you are of color. People only spend their currency to give you a role when they know and heartily believe that you can deliver. And if you don't have that confidence in yourself at that point, hold on to their confidence until yours catches up. But you have to show up knowing that you have everything that you need in order to do the job. Otherwise, that opportunity, that moment would not have been delivered to you. The universe would not have delivered this set of circumstances if you weren't already ready. So even if you're not feeling ready, now you need to tell yourself, well, I have the intellect somehow. Either I was taught this in my undergraduate or my graduate training, or I was taught this in some other kind of training program, or I had the experiences that led to the lessons that will now enable me to prosecute that, or I know somebody that might even know somebody that will be able to give me the things that I need in order to at least approach this, if not solve the problem. Each of us have at least 3 things in our tool chest: your intellect, which is your academic background, your experience, and your relationships, your networks. Those are 3 powerful things. For me, I have a 4th thing, and it's a spiritual word. But for most of us, we have at least the 3 things that are in our tool chest. And you must leverage all of those if you're going to be successful. So if you have chosen, and remember, Brittany, it's a choice.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to come to you and say, we'd like to choose you now as CEO. Will you accept? That will be the conversation. And if you say yes, then you are now accepting everything that goes with that. So there's no need to stand back and now question whether or not you could do it, right? If you've said yes, you've accepted it. So now you prosecute. You don't second guess your own decision. And you don't say to yourself, well, I can't say no. Who would say no to the CEO's role? Well, if you're not ready, then you have to be authentic and be honest with yourself and say, I'm not ready. But before you would do that, you should talk to a few people, because you may be discounting yourself and thinking that you're not ready, when other people can give you the readily available evidence that you are.
Empathy and compassion, back to what you were saying, is something that we need to mirror for ourselves more than we do, especially as women. How do you do that? Like, what is the mindset shift that's required for women to step more into that space of being open to receiving so that they can give?
So I've tried to do a good bit of research. There is a lot of medical research that talks about people that are giveful are healthier. And so really Harvard's done studies. I mean, there's a plethora of information out there that people who give and receive on a regular basis have a longer life. They have a lower blood pressure. They sleep better. In fact, people who are giveful are more attractive to the opposite sex. They also tend to have a higher self-esteem. People that are giveful tend to be happier because they got a sense of purpose. So when you start to take this little action of giving and receiving, bringing your full gifts, and then being open to what the world wants, and you can equate it to better physical and better mental health, it's worth trying. But it doesn't stop there, because I have come to find out that regardless of what religion you pursue, what God you choose to worship, or whether you just call yourself spiritual, there's also tons of data that being giveful brings you closer to that higher power. So here's an activity that could make you healthier, happier, and more spiritually grounded, and it costs nothing, and you can do it anywhere, anytime, all by yourself or with a group of people.
I would tell her to look in the mirror and ask yourself why. Repeat why until it becomes such a burning desire that tears fall from your eyes. You feel it physically shift something inside of your body, and it becomes so forceful and intentional that you are compelled to move toward it. You are compelled to move in it. You are compelled to move. You are compelled to say to yourself, you know what? I'm actually not an introvert. I'm actually afraid to move because someone disappointed me by telling me what I couldn't be. I'm actually afraid of the visibility that this may cause because people have already kind of conditioned me to believe who I should become. I would say to her, that is not your why. Your why is everything on the other side of the fear that you've conjured up in yourself to believe to be true. Who are you? Why? Who are you? Why? Like literally these conversations in the mirror when we're trying to get the curls together and we're trying to get the wrap together, situate the wig, you have to ask yourself, who am I? Until you feel that physical feeling inside of your body tremble, and then you pay attention to that. And then you run and you write it down or write it with your lipstick on your mirror and you commit to that. You have to reflect. You have to recalibrate. And you have to reset your focus on what it is that you want. Because so many times we believe that our lives have been prescribed based off what everybody else expected us to be, that we didn't allow ourselves to actually be. So we've lived so much of our lives being all of these things. Mm-hmm. And then when we finally get to the place where, okay, I'm just going to do what I want to do, we believe that we don't have enough time. Time is truly something you can't get back, but what you do with the time that you have maximizes your presence, it maximizes your power, and it maximizes your impact. So I would say, baby girl, look in the mirror. Who are you? And keep asking yourself that until you feel compelled to move. And then you ask yourself why. And as you ask yourself why, you commit to it, and the how will bring itself in full disclosure.
What have you seen organizations do from a strategic standpoint, thinking about their operations, to better serve those women in terms of changing policy or different strategies to really help that individual contributor overcome burnout?
So for us, we actually have programming specifically for women. We have a program called Leading Up, which the entire focus of the program is preparing women who have that desire to elevate to higher levels of leadership. And that looks like coaching, it looks like assessments, it looks like assigning them a sponsor and a mentor within the organization to answer those questions or really kind of quell some of those fears that they may have around elevating. And so that's something that we've done at Novartis. And so we sit at 47% as far as gender balance with our leadership for women, but it took programs like Leading Up to say, what's the problem? Okay, what are we going to do? And then you have to do it, right? So that's one that we're really proud of. It is in its 24th year.